What is up, YouTube? Today I'm coming back at you with another tabletop RPG review. Now, today's review is a review of a third-party published supplement. Now, this is actually something that I've been wanting to do. I've been wanting to take a look at more third-party published things, as I really appreciate third-party published materials, as it offers a lot of new ideas, and you can get some fresh takes on some traditional tropes, and get some new content in a game that offers the ability to have third-party published material. So I'm going to try to do some more of these third-party published material reviews because I really want to show my support for the third-party community in this crazy time that we're living in right now. And yeah, so I'm going to be doing some product reviews of third-party published materials. And we're going to start with one that I actually currently use, and then we'll branch out, and I'll try to make some more reviews of some third-party materials in the future. So today's review is going to be of the Path of Shadows supplement for Pathfinder 1st Edition. This is by Ascension Games. It's published by Ascension Games, and you can pick this up on DriveThruRPG in PDF and physical print form. And this is a player supplement. Now, Ascension Games is a relatively small company that publishes right now exclusively for Pathfinder 1st Edition, and they've got 2 products in print, and then there's one coming out soon that I'm going to pick up as soon as that hits DriveThruRPG. So the 2 things that they've got is the Path of Shadows, and they also make the Path of Iron. So today we're going to be taking a look at Path of Shadows, what it contains, and what I think about it, and just my general opinions. So let's just get some initial thoughts out of the way first. So first things first, this is a, like I said, mainly aimed at player supplement. It includes new classes, new feats, new spells, and new magic items. It is a softbound book that you pick up on print on demand through DriveThruRPG, like I said, and I'll try to do a link in the box below so you guys can go check that out. And so first things first, just looking at the cover, the artwork is fantastic for this book. I really love the cover art. It kind of gives you that mystical, shadowy feeling to it. And like I said, like the title suggests, I should say, everything in the supplement is going to be based around shadow. So you have like shadow magic, shadow-based classes, shadow-based equipment. Everything has to do with shadows in this supplement, which is really cool. All the pages are in color. Let me flip open. So as you can see here, you have color artwork. There is some artwork in here, and you do have, like I said, have color page design. So yeah. So let's get into the top-down view. We'll switch it over to the mat, and I'll do a quick flip through, and I'll talk a little bit more in depth about my opinions, and then we'll come back, and then we'll do my general thoughts about this supplement as a whole. Alright, we're back again, and we have the Path of Shadows laid out here. Like I said, this is published by Ascension Games, once again. And we're going to take a quick flip through and talk a little bit about each section in this book. So let's get right into it. So the first thing you'll notice when going through this book is it's laid out very professionally. The design and the care that went into actually designing and building this book, you can really tell that it's a fantastically designed book, and it looks like it's a labor of love. So the first section here, you have your table of contents, and like I said, this is mostly a player supplement book. So you have a brand new base class called the Nightblade. You have a list of archetypes for these various different classes, including the new Nightblade class that it introduces. You have a section on feats, and then you have a section on spells, and then finally you have a section on magic items. And it also has an index in the back. So as you can see, it's mostly player-based things. The next section here, you'll see you have references in this book. Some of the things that it does reference in here, such as abilities and some spell descriptions, will reference other spells, for example. And you'll have these short-formed basically acronyms for these various different official Paizo published supplements. Alright, so the first thing you get into is the Nightblade class itself. So this is a brand new base class that you can start at level 1. This is a spellcasting slash melee, and also you can do ranged as well. So this is sort of like a little bit of jack of all trades, but it sort of specializes in shadow magic and stealth. So this is, if I had to describe it, it's sort of like a shadow magic casting rogue, and it functions sort of similar to a rogue, but with spells, which is really cool. So you have a D8 for your hit dice. You start with 46 starting gold times 10, which is really nice. You have your list of skills here, and you get 6 skill ranks plus your intelligence modifier per level, which is that's a pretty skilled character. I can't remember if that's as much as a base rogue or not. I think it is. I think it's the same as a base rogue. You have your weapon and armor proficiencies, which they are proficient with all simple weapons, plus the longsword, rapier, scythe, short sword, short bow, and spiked chain. You have your some description about the spells they can use, the cantrips they can use, and then you have a list of special powers for the class itself. I won't go too much into those. I'll let you figure that out when you buy the book. But the special powers really sort of hinge on the sort of sneaky, spellcasty nature of the class. Here you have the spells known table. You can see what spells they know, all the way up to level 20. You have some more class powers and stuff, and that continues. And then you have some Nightblade paths, and you have different paths you can choose from. So it's sort of like your sorcerer paths. The spellcasting is very similar to a sorcerer, so you have different paths that you can go down. Like I said, you have the Path of the Bloodied Chain, you have Path of the Darkened Fortress, you have Path of the Eternal Night, and each one has its own class powers that you can use. Path of the Raging Void, and this I think this is only for the Raging Void class. You can get something called Shadow Energy, which sort of is sort of similar to your key points if you're playing a monk. Path of the Twilight Veil, and then you have a spell list that you can learn for your Nightblade. So Nightblade can learn all of the spells in this book, I'm pretty sure, and it can learn some spells from your standard magic user spell list. You have some favored class options for a couple different races in here, and if it's not in the base core rulebook, I think it mentions it in the appendix where these can be found. So you have Asimir, Dampier, Drow, Dwarf, Elf, Fetchling, Gnome, Half-Elf, Half-Orc, Halfling, Human, Tiefling, and Wei Yang, which the only one I'm not familiar with is the Wei Yang. So then we get into the archetypes, and now there's archetypes for a lot of different classes in this book, and all of the archetypes sort of hinge on that same shadow theme. As you can see here, you have some more really beautiful art, but it all kind of sort of centers around the shadow and mysterious magic of shadow magic. So you have some alchemist archetypes and options. You have anti-paladin, and this one is called the Warrior of the Unholy Darkness, which just sounds really cool. You have barbarian, which has some new rage powers and stuff. Blood Rager, which is really cool. You get the Shadow bloodline for that. Shadow Priest, you get for Cleric. Druid, you get the Lunar Guardian, which sounds really cool. Magus, you have the Stygian Striker archetype. Monk of the Eclipsing Moon. And then you get into some archetypes for the new Nightblade class, which you have the Dark Conjurer, which I really appreciate that they threw in some archetypes for the new class as well. You have the Shadow Striker, Shadow Agent, Traveler of the Two Paths, and Veiled Infiltrator. So the Nightblade definitely has the most archetypes in this book, which is understandable, as this is a a class designed by this publisher, so you want to support your own class as much as possible because all these other classes have plenty of archetypes already. Anyway, you have the Oracle, which gets the Darkness Mystery, and the Forgotten Curse over here. You also get some archetypes for Paladin, which is the Shadow Banisher, which is cool. You have some Rogue, which I found very interesting, was the fact that they included some Rogue archetypes, even though the Nightblade sort of fills that same sort of gap as a Rogue. So you have the Scourge of Shadows archetype, and then you have some Shaman stuff here, and then you get onto the feats. So the feats in this are actually really, really good. This is what I've used the most in my current campaign, is the feats and some of the spells. So the feats in this book are, like I said, a lot of them are shadow themed. Some of them are utility feats. Some of them are beneficial feats to like bonuses and whatnot. So like, for instance, your Concealing Trick is sort of, it's a utility power that helps you basically use your camouflage ability and stuff. And there's various different ones, including some racial feats here, as you can see, for the various different races it mentioned. And then it goes into descriptions of all the feats that it was listing, and then you go straight into your spells. So the spells, it gives spells for not all of the spellcasting classes, but most of them. So you get Alchemist spells, Anti-Paladin spells, Bard spells, Blood Rager, Clerical, Druid, Inquisitor, Magus, Nightblade, Paladin, Shaman, Sorcerer/Wizard, which the Sorcerer/Wizard I'm pretty sure can use all the new spells in this book, Summoner, Witch, and I'm pretty sure that's the last one. Yeah, that's the last one. So, and then you get into a description of all the various different spells. So, all the different spells in here, sort of like the feats, some of them are utility spells, some of them are damage dealing spells. It just really depends on the spell and the level. Like I said, the artwork in this book is really fantastic, but you have quite a few different spells in here. All of them are, again, shadow themed, or some sort of like something that helps with stealth, stuff along those lines, things you would expect of shadow style magic. And I got some more great artwork in here. Sorry about hitting the camera tripod. So we'll skip ahead here. We're not going to look at every single spell. You also have a summoning spell in here, and you have some things you can summon with summoning horrors. Okay, let's get past these spells. Alright, so then the last section here is for magic items, and you can always use more magic items in your campaign, I think. These magic items are also very themed towards the shadow theme here, like everything else in this. You have some great artwork for the items and for some of the items themselves. And one thing that really stood out to me about this artwork is that this looks very similar to the artwork in the official Ultimate Equipment Guide, which I found really, really cool. It's sort of set up the same way as the Ultimate Equipment Guide, where you have a sort of little like stat block of what slot it is, what the combat level it is, and what weight it is, what sort of aura it has. And then you have down here how much it should cost if you were to buy the item from a store or something. And then you have like special abilities. You can also create your own magic items with some of the stuff in here. You can use some of the special abilities, like it says here, weapon special abilities, so you can construct your own shadow-themed weapons as well, which is really cool that they added that in there. But all these weapons and stuff are really, I think, they're fairly balanced. Now, one thing I will note about a lot of the items in here, they tend to lean towards more the mid-game expenditures. There's not very many early game prices on some of these items. A lot of them are going to be late games. Like, for instance, the Shadow Walker's ring is 10,000 gold. So you're not going to get that at like level 1. So to use some of these items, a lot of them are going to be more end gamey than some of the other mundane magical items you could get. But like I said, it also offers the ability to construct your own magical shadow items, which is really cool. So that is also an option if you wanted to go around that way. Overall, I think it's a well put together book, and it has a lot of different options in here, a lot of different variety of options for a lot of different variety of classes, and I feel like no one really gets left out in this supplement, and I really like that. So if you played more of a spellcasting class, you have plenty of new spells. If you play more of a sneaking class, you have a whole new base class to try out if you wanted, or you can try out some archetypes and feats. Same with the fighter classes. I would say out of everything in here, the fighting classes are really what gets left out the most. There are some feats in there that you could use as a fighter class, but that's really all you get unless you're playing like a paladin or cleric. But considering the price of the book and considering the theme of the book, it's hard to be really mad at the things that you get in here. Overall, I would say that this is a really excellent supplement, and I would highly recommend this to anyone's running first edition Pathfinder. It's very professionally constructed, and it will not feel out of place amongst your first party supplements. So let's cut back to the couch, and then we'll talk about my final thoughts. Alright, so what are my final thoughts on the Path of Shadows? So the Path of Shadows is a really cool supplement. If you are interested in adding a darker aspect to your campaign, for instance, in my campaign, I opened up a rift to a shadow dimension, which is sort of like, if you've ever seen like Stargate SG-1, it's sort of like the mirror universe from SG-1, where it's like slightly off. It's a pretty common trope in a lot of different sci-fi things, but I wanted to bring that into my fantasy campaign for Pathfinder, and I used the Path of Shadows to sort of add some more like shadowy and alternate takes on it. So like all the creatures in this Shadow Rift are from the Shadow Realm, and they have some of the spells in this book, some of the feats and stuff, and then you have some NPCs using the shadow classes in this book, and some of the archetypes as well. And it's a really great supplement if you wanted to add more of a darker shadow style campaign, where you, if you were going to adventure in a shadow dimension, or they were adventuring in a ancient ruins, like a mega dungeon or something. This might be really useful for that, and just things of that aspect. So my overall final thoughts: it's very well produced. The design and the layout of this book are just absolutely fantastic. It's very, very professionally done. The artwork is absolutely incredible. I love the artwork in this book. I love the art style. It's really nice. I enjoy the sort of not super realistic art style. I do appreciate realistic art styles, but it's refreshing to see something a little bit more simplified. And it gives a really good sense of cohesion with all the other art in there. So all the other art really kind of works together. It's all like I said, it seems very professionally done, where all the artwork sort of feels the same, even though there's different artists working on it. So that's really, really nice. The rules themselves are really well written. It describes everything in a very clear tone. It honestly seems almost like a first-party supplement the way it's written, and it's really easy to comprehend. And I like the fact that it gives you a large variety of things to use for players, and it just gives you something that a lot of the core books aren't really giving you. I mean, sure, the horror companion, what is it called? Horror Adventures sort of gives you a little bit of that, but I think this kind of goes a step further, and I really like that. So let me know what you guys think of this review. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I try to respond to all my comments as fast as I can, and I definitely read all the comments, yeah, so let me know what you guys think of this supplement in the comment box below. If you guys have any ideas or want to link any supplements that you might want me to check out, let me know in the comment box below. This review was not sponsored. This was bought with my own money, and this is just something that I wanted to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.